Welcome into TYT's The Conversation. It's your host, Adrienne Lawrence. And today I have for you Mr. Ron Fein. He's a legal director of free speech for people. And so we are here to have him talk a little bit about January 6th and the elections to come. Thanks for joining us, Ron.
Oh, thanks. It's my pleasure.
Yes, Ron. So about January 6th and essentially what can be done in terms of those who participated in the insurrection on the Capitol. We know that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, it basically can ban anyone who participated in an insurrection from running for office again. How could this possibly be used in terms of those who are involved in the January 6th insurrection?
It's a great question. So Section 3, like the entire 14th Amendment, was passed right after the Civil War with the intent of making sure that the political class that had dominated the South before the Civil War should never again rise to a position of power. And what it provides is that anyone who took an oath to support the Constitution and then engaged in insurrection or rebellion is forever disqualified from public office unless Congress specifically votes by 2/3 to absolve them. And that's a qualification on the offices, and that includes any federal or in fact state office. Just like you would have to be 25 years old to run for Congress, you would need to not have violated Section 3 of the 14th Amendment in order to run for Congress. So state elections officials have the power to exclude a candidate from the ballot who participated in some way in this insurrection, just like they could if somebody who was, let's say, 17 years old wanted to run for Congress. They could say, no, you don't meet the constitutional qualification. They can do that too.
All right, so that definitely sounds like a nice tool to have in the toolbox. But what needs to be done to classify this as an insurrection? Because there are a lot of people here in the United States who do not consider it an insurrection as much as they see it as, oh, well, it's just a riot, or oh, it was just a little party that got a little overly aggressive. It wasn't necessarily that coup attempt that rise to the level of being an insurrection. So I guess how do we even get there?
Well, this was no mere riot or protest. This was a violent attack on the seat of our government with the specific intent of subverting the fundamental constitutional process of the peaceful transition of power. But you don't have to take my word for it that it was an insurrection. That's what Senator Mitch McConnell, who was the Senate Majority Leader at the time, called it. That's what President Trump's own defense lawyer called it in the impeachment proceedings. That's what bipartisan majorities of both houses of Congress have called it in the impeachment. That's what Trump's Justice Department called it in prosecuting some of the people who participated. And a Trump-appointed federal judge has called it an insurrection. So it's not in dispute among serious people that this met any standard for insurrection. This wasn't just a riot.
All right, so if it's kind of clear cut, there's no question in terms of what this was on January 6th. I guess when you have representatives either running for state or federal office in some way, I guess what would be the next step if someone wanted to exclude a potential candidate?
Well, of course, the question depends on the particular candidate and how much they were involved personally. And of course, there will be some factual differences between others. Of course, we know a lot about President Trump's involvement, and more is coming out about others. But the state elections officials, which are secretaries of state in many states, or in some cases, it's a body called a board of elections, really have the power to exclude anyone who doesn't meet the qualifications. Now, in some cases, there's a process by which citizens can file a formal challenge. In other cases, citizens might go to court, and it varies from state to state. But last summer, we sent letters to the top elections officials of all 50 states in the District of Columbia. We had a Free Speech for People did this, and we urged them to get ready because this was coming. And we said, don't wait for the urgency of an election in order to do your basic legal analysis. And now with our partners at Our Revolution, we are launching that campaign to urge secretaries of state or other top elections officials to do exactly that.
All right, so you guys are really behind an effort to ensure that people are held accountable if they participated in that Stop the Steal riot, rally, insurrection, whatever you want to call it, on January 6th. And right now we know at least maybe 13 candidates who are running for office at the state or federal level have been identified as being involved in the January 6th insurrection. So I guess what do you think people are doing now? Because I think we know a lot of who those people are. and the fact that they are running. So has there been a big push? Have people been submitting challenges? What's been going on?
Well, of course, our effort is focused on persuading the elections officials to exclude them. And then the candidacy challenges are likely to follow. And some of this will be happening within the next 2 months as filing deadlines come in. So this is going to be a very hot topic, very live over the next few months.
Yeah, and it'd also be very interesting. I really don't know how often this has ever happened before, where that Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, that clause has really been invoked since probably the Civil War. So I'm guessing there's probably not much case law on it. And hey, the courts have already been pretty complicated recently with regard to the events of January 6th to begin with. But in terms of some of these people, for example, there's a man named Mark Middleton who's running for a seat in the Texas House. He had been arrested for obstruction of Congress and assaulting officers. Charles Herbster, a Republican businessman, he's launching his campaign for governor in Nebraska. Also, Joey Gilbert, personal injury attorney, he's vying for the Nevada governor seat. These seem to be very significant positions where you had individuals who were essentially looking to overthrow our government by overturning that November 2020 election. So I guess if people want to get involved and they want to raise their voices and they also want to get these people maybe up and out, what should they do?
I think if people are interested in learning more about this campaign, they should check out our website, either freespeechforpeople.org, or we've set up a special page at 14.3.org that focuses specifically on Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. And we have there examples of documents and resources, and it will people can sign up and get involved in that way.
This seems to be a very important issue because not only do we want people in positions of power who are ready and fit to lead, but also we don't want them to be insurrectionists trying to organize a coup. That could be extraordinarily problematic. And so as people go to your website and they look to start getting involved, is there anything else specific regard to this issue that you think is very important for them to know about?
I think what's important for people to do is to step back and realize that this is not just a matter of whether you don't like a particular politician or their policies or views. This is something that was put in the Constitution to protect us from these types of oath-breaking insurrectionists and make sure that they don't endanger the country as a whole. Because when you have an insurrectionist in office in a particular congressional district, for example, they're not just endangering the people in that congressional district, they're endangering the entire system. What happened on January 6th almost destroyed our democracy.
Absolutely, and it feels like it's been very rocky since then, especially when it comes to accountability. But ensuring that these individuals are not in positions of leadership in our government is extraordinarily important. So definitely get involved. Check out Free Speech for People on the website, and please do whatever you can to make sure that these individuals are not in any way governing us. And I know that you all are involved in a number of other incredible efforts. Could you speak to some of the things that Free Speech for People are involved in right now?
Thank you. Free Speech for People is a national, nonpartisan, nonprofit organization, and we work on fighting to protect our democracy around the country. Some of the actions we're involved in right now include fighting voter suppression laws that were passed by state legislatures in Arizona and Texas, and we're challenging these as violating constitutional rights and rights under the Voting Rights Act of people who wish to exercise their right to vote, particularly voters of color. And in addition to that, we are working on campaign finance reform to limit the influence of big money in politics and to ensure that those who would overthrow our democracy are held accountable, whether they're in power right now or not.
Yes, that is so incredibly important, especially as we've seen essentially a war on individuals' ability and opportunity to vote. And so if people are looking to get involved, what opportunities do you have for viewers or just everyday citizens who want to help uplift free speech for people?
I think the first thing that they can do is sign up on our website, and then they'll be put on our mailing list, and then they'll know when there are actions taking place in their area that they can participate in. And of course, with respect to this particular campaign about Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, they can also check out Our Revolution if they're interested. And once they're on the mailing list, then we can be in touch with them to say, there's something happening, here near where you live. we're looking for people or something like that. And that's the best way to get involved. You can also follow us on Twitter, FSFP, or on any other social media.
Fantastic. And do you all organize marches and opportunities, rallies, and for people to get together? Do you partner with other groups?
We partner with other groups to establish things like that, and we are very pleased to be partnering with Our Revolution in this particular Section 3 of the 14th Amendment campaign. But we are always looking to work with allies who are interested in protecting our democracy.
All right. And so in terms of moving forward, is there anything you kind of want to give a shout out to, or anything that you're working on in particular that you guys are looking forward to working on as we approach the midterms?
This is a dangerous time in some ways, but it's also a time that can be very inspiring in that people who care about protecting and improving our democracy should take heart that there are things that they can do. And I can't talk about everything that's under consideration right now, but if you check out our website, freespeechforpeople.org, or look at some of the lawsuits we've filed and some of the actions that we're going to be taking, there's going to be a lot happening this year.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, for uplifting this issue on Section 3 of the 14th Amendment that basically bans anyone who participated in the insurrection. Also for leading the effort when it comes to ensuring that individuals who are candidates running for office at the state and federal level who participated in that Stop the Steal rally are held accountable and are not put in leadership positions. We very much appreciate your time, and anybody looking to get involved, please check out the Free Speech for People website. You can also go find them on Twitter. And where can they find you on social media, Ron?
FSFP on Twitter, and similarly Free Speech for People on Facebook and other types of social media.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Ron Fein, Legal Director of Free Speech for People.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.